The story opens with a warm, intimate family scene. Bianca enters the room holding a box of sweets. She presents cookies and cakes to her parents with a bright smile. She explains that since they haven't had a proper tea time together in a while, she prepared these snacks in advance. It highlights her effort to be a dutiful and loving daughter, cherishing the time with her family. Her father is visibly touched by the gesture. He looks at the box and says, "Our daughter, you still remember what I like." He recognizes the brand immediately, a famous bakery known for its taste. He is delighted by her thoughtfulness. Bianca beams and promises, "I will order more for you later if these match your taste." The atmosphere is full of warmth and familial love. But as night falls, the mood shifts drastically. Bianca sits alone in her room, staring at a book. She admits in her monologue that reading used to be her favorite hobby, enjoying books over tea. However, ever since she read that specific prophecy book, she hasn't been able to touch another one. The book has become her curse, consuming her thoughts. She stays awake until dawn, obsessively rereading the text, hoping to find a single change. Her eyes are tired but frantic. She comes to a terrifying realization. If she follows the context of the story, the villainess who loves Ricardo is destined to die. Whether by execution or a broken heart, her love for the Duke is the trigger for her inevitable death. Next morning, Bianca is having tea with her mother but looks exhausted and distracted. Her mother notices her pale face and asks gently, "You look unwell these days. Is something going on? I am worried." Bianca is startled, apologizing for spacing out. She claims she is fine and just didn't get enough sleep, desperately hiding her internal turmoil about her impending doom. Her mother then drops a piece of news that shatters the morning calm. She reveals the truth is, His Majesty called to see us before we came here. Bianca is surprised. The king summoning her parents personally is a big deal. This foreshadows that the royal family is making a move, and Bianca realizes she might be the target of something larger than just a book plot. The scene transitions to the majestic imperial palace. Bianca arrives in a carriage, looking small against the grand architecture. The servant announces, "Bianca de Crowfort has arrived." She steps out, looking elegant but anxious. Walking into the lion's den, she knows that a summons from the palace is rarely just for tea and conversation. Bianca enters the room where the Empress is waiting. The Empress welcomes her warmly, almost too warmly. She tells her to come in and offers her sweets. Come in, come in. What would you like to eat? Cookies or cakes?" It seems like a casual, friendly tea party, but Bianca senses the heavy atmosphere of unspoken intent beneath the sugar-coated words. The pleasantries end quickly. The Empress drops the facade and gets straight to business. She says she knows Bianca came because of her mother, but she has a request. She declares, "I have decided to give you one more chance, a chance to make Lady Bianca part of the imperial family." Bianca is stunned into silence by this sudden, high-stakes offer. Bianca's parents are confused and try to defend their daughter's current status. They apologize and remind the Empress that the marriage discussions with the Crown Prince were settled 10 years ago. It seems impossible to revive a dead engagement, but the Empress insists, implying that since Bianca isn't married yet, the agreement can be revisited. The Empress reveals her leverage. She mentions a rumor she heard recently. She says, at the charity ball, Ricardo Wincaser escorted another young lady, didn't he? She uses Ricardo's public betrayal to suggest that Bianca's current engagement is failing and implies that Bianca needs a backup plan to save face. Then comes the pressure. The Empress frames it as a request, but it sounds like an order. She suggests that Bianca should pay the Crown Prince a visit soon. She adds, "If she refuses, I will give up," but the threat hangs in the air. Refusing the imperial family twice is dangerous. She turns to Bianca's parents, urging them to reconsider for their daughter's sake. Later, Bianca meets with Crown Prince Assel Yasher in the palace garden. He is charming and direct. He cuts through the polite talk and asks her about the rumors of her drifting apart from Ricardo. He admits he has noticed the distance between them since the last ball, showing he has been paying close attention. Bianca tries to defend her relationship. She says she doesn't have hatred or love for Ricardo. They are simply as they were before. She tries to normalize their coldness, but Assel isn't buying it. He argues that after 10 years, having no progress is not okay. He challenges her complacency. Assel reveals he has been watching them for a long time. He tells her, I have been watching you two for 10 years too. He says he can't find any adoration or love between them, no matter how closely he looks. He claims he wouldn't have interfered if they were truly in love, but since they aren't, he feels he has a right to step in. He confesses his long-held strategy. He says, you know it. I don't try if I don't have a chance. He admits he was waiting all along, thinking, I will get a chance one day certainly, and now that day has come. He is confident, calculated, and ready to make his move. Then he makes a bold request for the upcoming Victory Day. He asks Bianca to stand in a specific spot he appoints on that day. Bianca realizes the implication immediately. Standing there would be a public declaration to the entire empire that she is his partner, the future crown princess. Bianca warns him that people won't accept it willingly because she is still the fiancée of a knight commander. It would be a scandal. But Assel brushes it off, saying it will become the talk of the country, which is exactly what he wants. He wants to force the issue and make it impossible to ignore. Assel leans in close, his expression intense. He looks her deep in the eyes and says the line that changes the entire game, I want to steal you from Ricardo. He is not asking for permission. He is stating his intent to take her away from the male lead. It is a declaration of war for her heart. Bianca's mind races. She thinks this might be a chance. She knows the book says the Villainess who greedily loves Ricardo must die. But if she stops loving Ricardo, if she becomes the crown princess instead, the prophecy might break. The prince offers a path she hadn't considered. She realizes that if she escapes the role of Ricardo's fiancée, she will be free from all curses. She might actually escape her fate of death. The crown prince isn't just a new love interest, he is her lifeline. She starts to see him not as a complication, but as a savior. Seeing her deep in thought, Assel holds her hand gently. He reassures her, saying, don't worry, let's hold him accountable for neglecting his fiancée. He offers to take the blame. Then he says softly, I waited for you for 10 years. I can definitely wait for a little while longer. He ends by telling her that anyone would love her, giving her the validation she has been starving for.
The story opens with Bianca sifting through a pile of invitations. She picks one up and reads the text, which politely requests her attendance along with young Duke Ricardo. It is a formal request, but the specific demand for her fiancé's presence weighs heavily on her, as the sender hopes they will grace the event together. She picks up another letter which explicitly invites Lady Bianca Crawford with Sir Ricardo Wincaser. Frustrated, she throws the letter down on the table. She exclaims internally, asking why everyone is like this, and wonders if they are implying she is not enough on her own. She feels her individual identity is being completely overshadowed by her engagement. Slumping back in her chair, she sighs, realizing that once she starts noticing it, she cannot stop. She reflects on how natural their pairing used to be and how everyone thought so too. But then a chilling realization hits her that she has not heard from Ricardo since the day of the ball. She notes that they have never gone this long without talking. Her anxiety deepens as she reasons that in the past, she would think he was busy with preparations as the knight commander. However, she finds it strange for him to leave like that without saying a single word. The memory of his abrupt exit haunts her, and she begins to dread that he might be thinking of breaking off the engagement. Trying to distract herself, she opens another letter which turns out to be an invitation to the Countess of Cornwall's tea party. The content is practically begging for forgiveness, apologizing for the last ball and inviting her as a sincere apology. Bianca groans at the length of the letter, remembering the gossip she intimidated earlier. She considers the invitation strategically, thinking that since she was already bothered by the Countess, this is perfect. She reasons that not everyone she benefits from becomes an enemy. Deciding to use the Countess to her advantage, she rings the bell for her maid Panya to prepare for an outing. Bianca decides to go to the Sparta orphanage to check on her charity work. As she prepares, she thinks about the prophecy book again. She notes that she accepted Assel's proposal and checked the book right away, but the ending has not changed. She wonders if the lack of change is because nothing concrete has happened yet and figures she will find out soon enough. She arrives at the orphanage, which is surrounded by lush greenery. The director greets her with overwhelming gratitude, holding the donation documents and asking if this is really all for their orphanage. He bows deeply, expressing how truly honored they are. Bianca tries to brush off the praise, telling him he does not have to be too reserved. But the director insists that personally, he thinks she is a very trustworthy person. He explains that many people lose their composure when handling large sums of sponsorship money for the first time, but she has remained steadfast. Bianca replies humbly that she is only doing what needs to be done. She asks about the progress regarding hiring a teacher as she suggested before. The director smiles and confirms that he has hired one, which is why it is quiet right now as lessons are in session. Just then, the door bursts open and children rush out shouting that they can write their names. The director wipes a tear, saying they are overjoyed. The children proudly show their papers to Bianca, boasting about who can write best. Bianca smiles gently at them, saying that knowing their name is the very basics. Suddenly, a deep voice interrupts asking if the director is there. Bianca freezes as she sees Ricardo standing there in a coat, looking surprised to see her. She gasps and asks what brings him here since she heard he was busy. The tension is palpable, leading the director to awkwardly ask if he should step out. Bianca quickly agrees that it would be helpful if the director stepped out. She turns to Ricardo with a serious expression, stating that she actually had something to say. She decides this is the moment to confront him about his silence and asks if he has time. She does not hold back, questioning him about the Victory Commemoration Day conferment ceremony where he is conferring knighthood. She expresses her hurt that he did not tell her about such a major life event, stating she thinks she has enough reason to be upset. However, she lowers her voice when she notices the kids listening. Ricardo looks guilty but then deflects with a question of his own, asking if she accepted Assel's proposal knowing what it implies. He reminds her that she said she wanted to break off the engagement. She snaps back, asking if she has to say 10 more times that the engagement and Assel are unrelated, insisting that from her position, that is how it looks. She explains the political trap she is in, revealing there are rumors going around that she and Ricardo are having conflicts. She explains that since Assel has not chosen a crown princess, the Empress is trying to seize this opportunity. Ricardo is stunned, asking if the Empress acted on such ridiculous rumors. Bianca retorts by asking what this tension is if not conflicts. Ricardo tries to explain himself but is cut off by a cheerful shout from Lara, the little girl from the festival. Lara runs up to Bianca beaming, showing that she can write her name now. Bianca's face softens instantly as she praises the girl. Lara then notices the Duke and asks if she can show Ricardo too. Bianca encourages the interaction, smiling and telling her to go ahead. Ricardo is surprised but willing, saying they will take her with them. Lara proudly shows her paper with the name Bianca written on it to Ricardo. Bianca is touched and praises the girl for writing it perfectly. Ricardo leans in to look, bringing his face incredibly close to Bianca's. Bianca blushes at the sudden proximity and wonders what the meaning of this is. Ricardo whispers that since she said there were rumors of discord, he is trying to erase them. He is deliberately acting close to her to dispel the rumors she just mentioned. Lara chatters on about which names are easy and hard, pointing out that if her name were Bibi, it would be easier. Bianca laughs saying that is a bit difficult. Ricardo intervenes gently, suggesting that if Lara practices really hard and writes it well, he will give her a prize of anything she wants. Lara's eyes widen with excitement. Ricardo nods seriously and promises, saying Bianca's name with a depth of emotion that catches her off guard. The little girl asks innocently if that means he is accepting her, a question that hangs in the air with a double meaning. Ricardo looks at Bianca with eyes filled with regret and longing. He holds her hand and admits he guesses he was dreaming of this kind of passionate and true love. He kisses her hand gently, saying that if it isn't him, anyone will love her, just like it has always been. The story begins by explaining the significance of Victory Day in the Sprendo Empire. After winning a war that ended 5 years ago, the emperor designated this day to commemorate peace and honor those who contributed. It is a grand festival for all citizens, marking stability after years of frequent conflicts. Maria reflects on how grand the celebration is. She notes that in her remote hometown of Encini, which was far from the war zone, Victory Day was never celebrated like this. She realizes how capital-centered the event is and feels fortunate that her home was spared from the direct impact of the war. Bianca explains that this is a good chance for Maria to experience the culture properly. She mentions that as a war hero family, House Wensbury will also greet His Majesty. Maria is shocked to realize she will be meeting the Emperor and Empress, panicking at the thought of such a high-pressure situation. Seeing Maria flustered and overwhelmed, Bianca steps in to calm her down. She reassures Maria that she came to help her prepare for exactly this reason. Maria regains her composure and eagerly asks where they should start, ready to follow Bianca's lead. Bianca declares that they need to buy a dress first. They head to a boutique, but Bianca is unimpressed with the selection. She dismisses dresses for having the wrong color or poor design, showing her high standards and sharp eye for fashion. The shop assistant suggests a dress that Bianca finds hideous. She questions why such a dress even exists and demands it be taken out of her sight immediately. Maria watches in awe as Bianca commands the room with absolute authority. Finally, Bianca spots a dress she likes. She orders the assistant to make adjustments, adding fabric and altering it to fit her vision. She also demands all the emerald accessories to match. Maria is amazed by Bianca's decisive nature. When Maria tries on the dress, Bianca critiques it. She notes that while Maria looks modest, the event requires more grandeur since they are visiting the imperial family. She explains that everyone will be dressed to the nines, especially the royals, so Maria needs to step up her game while maintaining a neat look. Bianca adds a crucial point about Maria's reputation. Given the gossip swirling about her background, a refined appearance is better than an overly flashy one. Maria agrees, but then asks if Bianca isn't going to choose a dress for herself. Bianca coolly replies that she already did. Bianca points to a pile of dresses she has selected. She tells the staff to pack them all, along with matching shoes in her size. She explains that as a regular, she knows exactly what fits her, so she doesn't need to try them on. The shop assistant praises Bianca's eye for fashion, mentioning that a designer was inspired by her beauty. Bianca chooses one specific dress for Lady Cornwall's tea party and instructs them to ring everything up. Her shopping spree is efficient and impressive. As they leave, Maria hesitantly brings up Lady Cornwall. She reminds Bianca that this is the woman who made rude comments at the last ball. Bianca acknowledges this, admitting that it wasn't a pleasant encounter, but she has a plan. Bianca imparts a lesson on noble politics to Maria. She explains that while nobles compete for power, they don't blindly trust allies or permanently hate enemies. Gossip and reputation are tools, and Lady Cornwall knows how to use them to raise her own value. Maria is confused, asking if Bianca outranks Lady Cornwall. Bianca confirms that as the daughter of a marquess, she does outrank a countess. She advises Maria to maintain a smooth relationship with Lady Cornwall despite her bad first impression, as it is necessary for survival in high society. Bianca admits her own feelings are complicated and that it was hard to hold back her anger previously. Maria praises her for maintaining decorum. Bianca explains that the trick to surviving the social world is to keep composure in public, ensuring enemies have nothing to nitpick even when hostile. Later that night, Bianca returns home. Her maid asks if she needs anything else, but Bianca dismisses her to rest. Left alone in her room, Bianca finally relaxes, letting out a sigh of exhaustion after a long day of social maneuvering and mentoring. Lying on her soft bed in her grand room, Bianca reflects on her life. She acknowledges the comfort and luxury she enjoys, a bed so soft she sinks into it, a room large enough for 10 people. She realizes that despite the difficulties, her life as a noble has its perks. She sees a package from the bakery. She remembers ordering cookies and asking for leftovers. She thinks that Maria should try them too, hoping they suit her taste. She wants to share the small joy of sweet treats with the heroine. Bianca muses that living as a noble is hard and difficult to adjust to, but it is not entirely bad. She smiles, realizing that getting close to Maria has been a positive change. She feels a genuine connection growing between them. The perspective shifts to Maria talking to someone else. The other person asks if she is talking about the Marquis of Crowthorne's daughter. Maria enthusiastically confirms, saying Bianca is kind and thoughtful, and she wants to become someone like her. The other person is skeptical, questioning where Maria heard such a reputation. They explain that the Crowthorne family is known for pragmatism and dignity, not kindness. But Maria insists everyone has it wrong. She declares that Lady Bianca is completely different from other nobles because she has seen and heard it herself. Maria recalls a childhood memory where she was bullied for not having a dad. Other kids told her not to play with her because she was dirty. It was a painful time, but then someone stepped in to save her, someone who looked just like Bianca. This memory cements her adoration for the Villainess. Maria recalls the pivotal moment in her childhood. Unlike the despair of being bullied, she remembers the warmth of being saved. She reflects that for the first time, she understood what it felt like to have a friend. This memory fuels her determination in the present. She vows to herself that she will try even harder to become someone worthy of Lady Bianca's kindness and friendship. The scene abruptly shifts to the present, at Lady Cornwall's tea party. The atmosphere is toxic. Lady Cornwall and her circle are viciously gossiping, but not about the weather. They are targeting Maria's mother. One noblewoman sneers, saying that now is the time she should be currying favor. Another mocks her origins, asking if she wasn't just a maid with lofty dreams, now shamelessly living the good life off her daughter. Lady Cornwall laughs, clearly enjoying the malicious banter. She turns her gaze toward Bianca, trying to pull the Marquis's daughter into her web of bullying. With a fake, sweet smile, she asks a loaded question, "Don't you agree, Lady Bianca?" She is setting a trap, forcing Bianca to either join in the mockery of her friend's mother or risk alienating the noble circle. The tension in the room spikes. The other ladies lean in, waiting for Bianca's verdict. One of them adds pressure, insinuating that while not everyone might agree with their harsh assessment, most people do. They are daring Bianca to go against the popular opinion of high society. The scene opens at a beautiful garden tea party. Lady Kate welcomes Bianca warmly. Bianca greets her back with elegance. Kate expresses her gratitude to Bianca for coming, clearly delighted to have such a high-status guest grace her event. Kate heaps praise on Bianca, marveling at her beauty and complimenting her dress, likening it to a rose made just for her. Bianca returns the compliment gracefully, telling Kate that she is the one who looks stunning today, charming as the sunny weather. Bianca signals her maid, Pania, to bring forward a gift. She presents it to Kate as a small token of appreciation for the invitation. It is a box from Angela Bakery, a shop that has been incredibly trendy lately. Kate is ecstatic, noting how pretty the packaging is. She mentions that she wanted to get some herself but orders were full. She asks in disbelief if Bianca really managed to get them herself. Bianca confirms it with a smile, playing the role of the perfect, thoughtful guest. Bianca flatters the group, saying she was excited at the thought of spending time with such lovely young ladies. The other noblewomen are charmed, giggling and blushing at her words. Internally, Bianca knows exactly how to play this game. She is the star, and they are her audience. The conversation shifts to the garden. Someone praises the gardener. Bianca agrees the flowers are lovely but smoothly redirects the compliment back to the young ladies, saying they are the ones blooming with radiance. The atmosphere is filled with polite laughter and mutual flattery. Internally, however, Bianca is already tired. She thinks back to the daughter of Viscount Milton and remembers a past event. She predicts the upcoming conversation topics will be the usual dull fare, trending dresses, skincare, and what colors are popular in neighboring kingdoms. She finds these topics incredibly boring. She critiques their fashion sense in her mind, thinking that piecing together every trend usually results in a hideous look. She muses that even if it turns out nice, copying each other just makes them look like identical mannequins walking around. Bianca glances at a young lady with brown hair, trying to recall her name. She notes that the girl is still young and it must be hard for her to keep up with Lady Kate. She critiques the girl's dress in her head, thinking there must be something better suited for her. Her thoughts drift to Lara, the child from the orphanage. She wonders what Lara is doing right now. She imagines Lara growing up, thinking that once she grows a bit, clothes and dresses will look lovely on her, with her hair brushed and flowing. She corrects herself, thinking that Lara will be beautiful even without dressing up. She reflects that Lara is smart and full of energy, so she can be anything she wants. Bianca wonders what Lara's dream is and resolves to support her in anything she chooses. Suddenly, someone calls her name, snapping her back to reality. Bianca realizes she's zoned out and didn't hear a single word of the conversation. She decides to just nod and go along with whatever they were saying to avoid awkwardness. She vaguely agrees with the group, saying that while not everyone might agree, most people would. The other ladies seem satisfied, exclaiming that they knew Lady Bianca would think the same. Bianca sighs internally, relieved that her vague answer worked. The scene shifts to the orphanage. The atmosphere is vibrant and full of life. Children are running around playing tag. A girl yells for Peter to run. We see a young woman who looks like Maria joining in the fun, telling the kids to run away. The game continues. Someone tags Maria, declaring she is it. Maria is surprised but laughs. The scene is full of innocent joy, a stark contrast to the stiff atmosphere of the tea party Bianca just left. We see Ricardo laughing freely, looking genuinely happy. Bianca arrives and sees him. She calls out to Maria, asking why she is there. Maria is surprised to see the princess arrive. The kids greet Bianca enthusiastically. Maria explains that she has been exchanging letters with some young ladies and found out about the charity ball connection to this orphanage, so she came to help. The kids beg Bianca to play with them too. Bianca declines the offer to play, explaining she is busy and just came to drop off some gifts. The kids are disappointed but perk up immediately when she mentions gifts. She reveals she brought sweets for everyone. She suggests they wash their hands and eat snacks together. Maria and the other caretakers herd the excited children towards the water pump. Bianca thanks Maria and entrusts the kids to her for a moment. Left alone with Ricardo, the mood shifts. Bianca looks at him and says his name. He looks concerned and asks if she is all right, noting that she doesn't look well. She brushes it off, claiming she is fine. Bianca tries to change the subject, asking if he isn't busy. Ricardo brings up the request she made last time about not partnering with Prince Assel. He mentions he didn't get a chance to reply because Lara interrupted them. Bianca gives him an honest answer. She tells him she cannot guarantee she won't partner with Assel. She explains that if it is a request from the imperial family, there is no real excuse to refuse. Ricardo is visibly upset, insisting that it can't happen. Before they can argue further, Lara interrupts again, looking distressed. It seems there is a conflict among the children. Bianca immediately steps into her role, telling them they mustn't fight or she will get them. Bianca mediates the children's conflict, telling them to make up, say sorry, and promise not to fight again. She watches them hug and thinks to herself that the orphanage taught them really well about conflict resolution. Suddenly, without warning, Ricardo pulls Bianca into a tight embrace. She is shocked and stammers. He holds her firmly, his face buried in her shoulder, seeking comfort and perhaps trying to physically keep her from drifting away to the prince. He confesses that learning new things about her is a joy, but also unsettling. He admits he feels like she might just fly away somewhere. He whispers that he wishes he could keep her in his arms forever, revealing his deep insecurity and possessiveness. He pulls back slightly to look at her. He promises to try to become a man who suits her better. Then, with a serious expression, he pleads with her not to talk about other men, specifically referring to the crown prince. The scene opens with a lively atmosphere. People are laughing and chatting excitedly. The focus shifts to a young man, looking around as if searching for someone. It is Ricardo, or perhaps a younger knight, looking refreshed and happy. He spots someone and calls out. It is his friend, looking relieved to see him. The friend comments that it has been a while. The atmosphere suggests a reunion after a period of separation or busy training. The friend complains that not seeing him for 3 days felt like dying. He exaggerates, claiming he was withering away without his buddy. Then he shares big news: he will finally be officially knighted at the upcoming victory commemoration ceremony. His friend is thrilled for him, asking about the living arrangements. Usually, rookie knights stay at the quarters, but the young man reveals that that person has already made special arrangements for him to stay at the Harrington Viscount's estate at night while training during the day. The friend wonders why someone would go to such lengths to help him. The young man shushes him, saying they shouldn't question the motives of powerful people who see the big picture. He suggests they just follow along and reap the rewards. The scene shifts to Bianca and her maid, Pania. Pania looks exhausted and out of breath. She mentions that with the victory commemoration day coming up, she might be swamped with preparation work and unable to come on some days. Bianca assures her she will be attending the event. Pania mentions that Lady Maria will also be visiting the royal palace to greet the imperial family as part of the Wensbury family. Pania is incredibly nervous about this, fearing she might trip or hiccup in front of royalty. Bianca chuckles at her specific worries. Pania suddenly remembers she ran out of yarn for a project. Bianca offers to help buy some tomorrow. Pania is surprised but grateful. She reveals she is knitting a scarf as a gift for Bianca to return the favor for all her help. Bianca is touched. She admits she has never received a handmade gift before. Pania blushes, saying her mother taught her and she is actually quite skilled. She promises to make a one-of-a-kind scarf using the best yarn. Pania shares a story about knitting for Maria when she was a child. Lord Ancini used to visit every winter to get gifts for his daughter, and most of Maria's winter clothes were hand-knit by Pania's mother. She reminisces about a specific teddy bear hat she made for Maria. It had little round bits on top like ears. Maria loved it so much she wore it even when spring came and she was sweating. Maria, who is listening, is embarrassed and tries to stop the story. Pania continues, revealing an interesting legend from Ancini about fairies in the woods. She says the hat was actually given to a fairy to watch over Maria. Pania explains that one day Maria came home wearing the hat again. They believed the fairy returned it. But when summer approached, the fairy supposedly came back and took it. Maria was devastated, crying that the fairy would be cold. Bianca listens intently, then asks a sharp question. She points out that the fairy has a surprisingly bad personality for taking back a gift from a child. Pania bursts out laughing, admitting she made up the fairy part to cover for sneaking in and taking the hat while Maria slept. Pania reveals her mother made a brand new one the next winter. Bianca realizes she was completely fooled by the fairy tale. The mood is light and cheerful as they walk together in the sunny weather. Bianca notices the soldiers disguised as patients around the hospital are doing their jobs well. She feels relieved that Maria's mother's safety is secured. Suddenly, a group of people approaches. It is a delegation from the Crown Prince. They greet Bianca formally, announcing they have come by order of His Highness Assel. They present a massive pile of gifts in honor of the upcoming Victory Day. Bianca is stunned by the sheer volume of gifts. The servant confirms they were ordered to deliver them all without exception. He also hands her a letter from the prince. The letter is long and rambling, exhausting Bianca just by looking at it. The prince's letter explains that he wanted to gift her a dress for the knighting ceremony as thanks for her help, But since he couldn't decide, he sent everything else as personal gifts. He boasts about his taste, claiming whatever she wears will suit her. Bianca opens the dress box. She gasps. It is the pink color she liked. The gem at the chest is rare, found only in the Imperial Palace. The sewing and size are flawless. She realizes he must have gone to great lengths, perhaps even bribing the shop owner, to get this perfect fit. She decides to wear this dress instead of the one she originally prepared. She tells Pania to put the other one away. Exhausted by the day's events and the overwhelming gesture, she says she needs to rest. Pania leaves her to rest. Alone in her room, Bianca looks at a small box she had prepared. She opens it to reveal a brooch. She thinks about how brooches are usually used to accent plain clothes, which is why they are often flashy. She recalls Ricardo giving her this brooch. He had stuffed it in his pocket and handed it to her awkwardly, saying the ribbon got crushed. He apologized for not wrapping it properly. It was a clumsy but sincere gesture. Bianca looks at the flashy brooch and the elegant dress from the prince. She asks herself why she keeps doing this when the answer is obvious. She feels conflicted. She holds the brooch, thinking about Ricardo's promise to wait for her. She murmurs to herself that she is foolish. She knows she is swaying. Despite the prince's grand gesture and the perfect dress, her heart is still tethered to the man who clumsily gave her a crushed ribbon brooch. The scene opens with Bianca reminiscing about her childhood. She recalls meeting Ricardo when they were both very young. He was a small, somewhat timid boy back then, always looking at her with wide eyes. She remembers thinking he was cute, like a little puppy following her around. Bianca reflects on how their relationship developed. They grew up together, their engagement arranged by their families. She admits that for a long time, she didn't think much of it. It was just a fact of life, something that was always there, like the sun rising in the east. She remembers the first time she realized things might be different. It was a small incident, perhaps a scraped knee or a lost toy, but Ricardo was there, offering his handkerchief or helping her search. She realized then that he wasn't just an arranged partner, he was her friend. Time passed, and they entered their teenage years. Bianca became the center of attention in high society, known for her beauty and grace. Ricardo, on the other hand, was quieter, more serious. He focused on his swordsmanship and studies, preparing to become the Duke. Bianca admits she sometimes found his seriousness boring. She was drawn to the glittering world of parties and gossip, while he preferred the training grounds. She remembers teasing him about being a stiff old man even though they were the same age. Despite their differences, he was always there for her. When she had a bad day or faced a difficult situation, he was her silent support. She took his presence for granted, assuming he would always be her rock, no matter how much she pushed him away or ignored him. Then came the debutante ball. It was supposed to be her night to shine. She remembers the excitement, the beautiful dress, the admiration of the crowd. But amidst the glitter, she felt a strange emptiness. She looked around for Ricardo, expecting him to be by her side as usual. But he wasn't there. For the first time, she felt the sting of his absence. She tried to brush it off, telling herself he was just busy or running late. But as the night wore on, anxiety began to creep in. Where was he? Why wasn't he here to admire her? Rumors started to swirl. People whispered that the Duke and his fiancée were on the rocks. Some said he had found someone else. Bianca held her head high, pretending not to care, but inside, she was crumbling. She couldn't believe he would abandon her like this. The Crown Prince, Assel, entered the picture. He was charming, attentive, and everything Ricardo wasn't. He showered her with compliments and attention, filling the void Ricardo had left. Bianca found herself drawn to his charisma, enjoying the feeling of being desired by the future ruler of the empire. She started spending more time with Assel. They were seen together at parties, in the gardens, riding in carriages. The rumors intensified, but this time, they were about her potentially becoming the crown princess. Bianca didn't discourage them, in fact, part of her enjoyed making Ricardo jealous. But Ricardo remained silent. He didn't confront her, didn't fight for her. He just watched from a distance, his expression unreadable. Bianca interpreted his silence as indifference. She thought he didn't care, that he was relieved to be rid of her. Then came the day he gave her the brooch. It was a clumsy gesture. He pulled it out of his pocket, the ribbon crushed, and handed it to her without fanfare. He mumbled something about seeing it and thinking of her. Bianca was underwhelmed. Compared to Assel's lavish gifts, this seemed pathetic. She didn't understand the significance of the brooch at the time. She didn't know that the gem was rare, that the design was custom-made, or that he had spent weeks finding the perfect piece. She just saw a crumpled ribbon and an awkward boy. She barely glanced at it before putting it away. She didn't wear it. She continued to parade around in the dresses and jewels Assel gave her, oblivious to the hurt in Ricardo's eyes. She was too blinded by the sparkle of the crown to see the true value of the heart being offered to her. Now, looking back, she realizes her mistake. She sees the brooch for what it truly is, a symbol of his clumsy, enduring, unpolished love. It wasn't flashy or perfect, but it was real. It was him giving her a piece of himself, awkwardness and all. The realization hits her like a physical blow. She has been chasing a fantasy while throwing away something real. She wonders if it's too late. Has she pushed him too far? Has his patience finally run out? She thinks about the upcoming Victory Day. It's a turning point. If she stands with Assel, she seals her fate as the villainess who betrayed her fiancé for power. If she chooses Ricardo. But will he even want her anymore? She decides she has to try. She has to make a choice, not for the plot, not for survival, but for herself. She realizes that she doesn't want to be the crown princess, she just wants to be the girl Ricardo looks at with those wide, adoring eyes again. Bianca stands alone, holding the brooch tightly in her hand. She thinks about how foolish she has been. She realizes that she has been taking Ricardo's feelings for granted, assuming he would always be there no matter what. She acknowledges this complacency is what led to their current situation. Her mind drifts back to the Crown Prince Assel. He stands before her in all his glory, the embodiment of power and ambition. He tells her that he is the heart of the empire and will one day become the empire itself. He claims there is nothing he doesn't know. Assel admits that despite his power, he has been holding himself back all this time. He touches her hand gently, saying that if he had wanted to force her into submission with real power, he would have done it already. His touch is light but carries the weight of his authority. He looks at her with intense, calculating eyes. He asks her directly to tell him if Ricardo has any real reason to remain her fiancé. He challenges the validity of her engagement, planting seeds of doubt and leveraging his position to make her question her loyalty. Bianca tries to interrupt Crown Prince Assel, feeling uncomfortable with the direction of the conversation. However, Assel insists on speaking, declaring that there is something she must know. He reveals a surprising truth: he is the one who stepped back for her sake once before, hinting at a sacrifice she was unaware of. Assel inquires about her engagement status. Upon hearing they are just engaged, he remarks that they will likely get married soon anyway. He observes Ricardo's possessive behavior as a sign of deep affection. He then gazes at Bianca and compliments her, stating she is the prettiest girl he has ever seen. He seeks her agreement on his observation. Bianca suddenly realizes his compliments are directed at her. Assel confirms this, admitting he does not even look at other girls anymore. Bianca is confused by this confession, noting that she always thought they did not get along well. Assel explains the reason behind his past behavior. He admits that he was just trying to get her attention because she was a bit aloof. He confesses that he actually liked that cold side of her too. He then declares his intention to get engaged quickly to prevent anyone else from stealing her away. He asks a piercing question regarding her engagement to Ricardo. He wants to know if Bianca actually agreed to it. He assumes she probably did, believing that her dream has always been to become the finest lady, implying she chose the engagement for status. Assel argues that if she marries him, she would become the first lady of the Sprendo Empire, which would truly fulfill her dream. Bianca cuts him off, stating firmly that marriage should be between two people who love each other, rejecting the idea of marrying solely for position. Assel reveals he wasn't completely oblivious to the past. He tells her he knew she liked Ricardo. He explains that this knowledge is why the Crawford family rejected his proposal 10 years ago and suggested the engagement to the Winckaiser family instead. He points out that Ricardo was the one who accepted that engagement. Assel explains that he thought Ricardo must like Bianca too, so he decided to back off and wish them happiness as a friend would. But now, seeing the engagement on the brink of breaking after 10 years, Assel feels betrayed. Ricardo intervenes, stating that whatever might have been true in the past doesn't matter because he is sure that he loves Bianca now. Ricardo declares firmly that he won't break off the engagement and intends to marry Bianca. Assel challenges him again, asking if Bianca has actually agreed to this. Ricardo looks troubled and unable to answer confidently. Ricardo tells Assel to stop speaking. Bianca watches them, realizing the situation is always like this because of her. She feels a sense of guilt, thinking she is to blame for letting her friend act like a fool over her. Assel decides to back off for the day. However, he leaves with a warning. He states that this won't happen again and declares that from now on, he won't give anything up. The scene shifts to a flashback from 10 years ago. Young Ricardo and Bianca are together. Ricardo notices she has been standing for a long time and worries her legs might hurt, showing his caring nature even then. Young Bianca anxiously asks if the problem is her age. She promises that although she is young now, if she grows up a little more, she will become a truly fine lady. She begs him to wait for her. Ricardo reassures her that he knows she will become a wonderful lady. Bianca then asks the question that has been haunting her: why wasn't he happy when he heard about their engagement? She asks if he dislikes her. Ricardo explains it's not that he doesn't like her. He admits he had just never thought about being engaged to anyone before and was flustered. He apologizes for making her feel uneasy and confirms he already told his father he would do it. Bianca thanks him for liking her. She expresses her hope that someday she will grow to like him too, and they can marry for love. She vows to become the perfect duchess so that he can love her. The scene returns to the present. Ricardo asks Bianca if she dislikes him. Bianca notes that this conversation feels incredibly familiar, echoing their past interactions. He asks if she is angry. He reminds her that he never said he wouldn't marry her. Then, realization dawns on him. He understands that this uncertainty is exactly how she must have felt in the past. He admits Assel was right, he was careless with her despite their engagement. Ricardo admits that in the end, he let her down. He acknowledges that he changed his attitude without giving her a proper explanation and kept pushing her away. He apologizes sincerely for his actions. Bianca tries to dismiss his apology, repeating her belief that he doesn't love her and that this separation was bound to happen eventually. Ricardo firmly denies this, stating he doesn't want that outcome. Ricardo confesses his true feelings. He says that even if she thinks this isn't love, seeing her with another man tears him up inside. He admits that when he sees her with someone else, he feels like he is dying. He continues, saying that if things continue like this, he can't be part of her happiness or sadness. He admits that only now does he feel such shame, frustration, and regret. Ricardo begs her for another chance. He promises to become someone worthy of her so that she can love him. With a desperate and pleading look, he asks the final question: can't they try again? He is asking for a reset on their relationship, hoping to fix the mistakes of the past. The story opens on the second day of the Victory Commemoration Festival. The atmosphere is electric with anticipation for the day's main event, the Imperial Knights mock duel. It is described as a true display of the Empire's mighty military power. Bianca and Maria arrive at the venue, marveling at the massive crowd. Maria notes that it is her first time attending as well. Bianca explains that since it is not a mandatory event, she has never been here before. Suddenly, Maria spots someone familiar. It is Sir Ricardo, looking dashing in his uniform. He explains that usually, only young men aspiring to be knights take interest in this event. Since he does not participate in the duels himself, he hasn't had much reason to come until now. He greets Marquis Wensbury politely. The atmosphere between Bianca and Ricardo is thick with awkwardness following their parting the previous day. Ricardo seems flushed and nervous, stammering as he asks for a moment to compose himself, admitting he must be nervous. Bianca watches him, thinking that he said he would wait for her, yet he is putting on such a carefree face. She stares at him intently, wondering if he even realizes how much he is messing with her head. She notes that despite his internal turmoil, he is surprisingly good at keeping a composed expression. Ricardo catches her staring and calls her name, startling her. Bianca realizes she must have been staring without realizing it. To break the tension, she asks why he, as the commander of the knights, is not participating in the duel. Maria jumps in to answer with a laugh. She recounts a well-known story from the first Victory Festival where Ricardo was assigned the role of the senior fighter. However, he was so overwhelmingly strong that the matches ended way too quickly before they could even get interesting. Ricardo accepts the praise humbly, stating that the order is growing stronger by the day and will catch up to him soon. Just then, Marquis Wensbury notices more familiar faces approaching, commenting on the unusual number of high-profile guests. Lady Lorraine arrives and greets Bianca and Maria. She notes that they have come again this year. The group exchanges pleasantries, with Lorraine expressing her delight to see Sir Wingkaiser and Sir Wensbury as well. Lorraine remarks that she thought Bianca had no interest in the duel event. Bianca explains that since she attended the knight's conferment ceremony, she was encouraged to watch the duels too. Lorraine implies it makes sense since Bianca is known as the Knight Commander's Lady, which startles Bianca. Lorraine claims that seeing the two of them together warms her heart, but Maria whispers to Bianca that Lorraine seems very upset. Maria explains that Lorraine is actually in love with the Crown Prince, explaining her hostility. Marquis Wensbury takes it upon himself to explain the event to the newcomers. He describes how the mock duels differ from regular training, being held in the Colosseum and open to the public to inspire admiration for the knights. He proudly announces that the participants are promising junior knights and his own son, Raintar, the 2nd Division commander. He explains the rules: they fight one-on-one until one kneels, their back hits the ground, or they surrender. The Marquis admits his son might not be a match for Sir Ricardo yet but praises his strong spirit. Maria enthusiastically cheers for her brother, Raintar, as he prepares to enter the arena. Raintar steps into the arena, looking focused and intense. The crowd cheers as the event begins. The signal is given, and the first match kicks off. Raintar fights aggressively from the start. He lands a heavy blow, and the match ends quickly with his victory. Bianca observes that it is progressing faster than she expected. Raintar continues to dominate, securing another victory with a fierce assault. Suddenly, Ricardo excuses himself, saying he needs to step out for a moment. Bianca watches him go, while the Marquis calls for her attention. A girl in the crowd explains the tradition of the bouquet. The winner of the final match receives a bouquet and can offer it to a lady he favors. She notes that Sir Raintar has never done this before, but today he seems unusually fired up. Suddenly, there is a commotion. The crowd notices the 1st Division commander, Ricardo, down in the arena. Raintar demands an explanation from him, pausing the event. Raintar confronts Ricardo, asking why he is violating the schedule. He realizes this isn't an ordinary training session and challenges Ricardo to a match, stating that defeating him is the only thing that has meaning. The crowd realizes that Lord Wensbury is challenging Sir Wingkaiser to an impromptu duel. The excitement spikes as the announcer adapts, declaring a surprise match between the two commanders. The spectators are thrilled at this rare chance. Lady Loren is confused, as she thought Ricardo wasn't participating. She wonders if they are fighting over the bouquet and assumes Ricardo will win. Raintar looks up at the stands and spots Bianca. He mutters to himself in disbelief. Before they begin, he tells Ricardo he has a few questions. Raintar asks if Ricardo is acting out in the heat of the moment because of the consecutive fights. He offers Ricardo a chance to back out if he wishes, but Ricardo refuses, stating his mind is clearer than ever. Raintar demands an explanation for this sudden change in behavior. As he questions Ricardo, he glances up at the stands where Bianca is sitting. Raintar deduces the reason. He states that Ricardo will have to explain it in full detail, asserting that the only reason Ricardo is doing this is because Lady Bianca is here. He challenges Ricardo's composure, exposing his true motivation. The crowd is buzzing with excitement as the showdown between the two commanders begins. Raintar admits to himself that he is not foolish enough to think he stands a real chance against Ricardo, acknowledging the gap in their skills. He reveals that his actions are born out of sheer desperation. The signal is given, and the match begins. Ricardo charges forward with terrifying intensity. Raintar notes that Ricardo seems infuriated by his challenge. The clash of their swords echoes through the arena, drawing cheers from the spectators. As they lock swords, Raintar speaks to Ricardo. He reveals that he has had his eye on Bianca for a long time. He claims that perhaps he has been watching her even longer than Ricardo has. Raintar continues his psychological attack. He tells Ricardo that because he has been watching, he knows better than anyone just how devoted Bianca has been to him. Ricardo scowls, clearly agitated by Raintar's words. The fight intensifies physically. Sparks fly as their blades grind against each other. Raintar pushes back hard, managing to surprise Ricardo with a sudden slide and strike from below. Ricardo gasps, barely deflecting the attack. Raintar launches a surprise attack from the side. Ricardo flinches, realizing the attack is coming from a blind spot. The crowd watches in suspense as the blade comes dangerously close. The crowd roars as Raintar lands a solid blow or forces Ricardo back. Raintar uses the moment to taunt Ricardo further. He asks if Bianca told him that she is sick and tired of him, aiming to unsettle the Duke's composure. The spectators start to murmur, sensing the atmosphere is too intense for a mock duel. Maria asks Bianca if they should be worried, noting that the knights seem to be having a serious conversation, although they are too far away to hear the details. Raintar tells Ricardo that no matter what Bianca does or thinks, it is none of Ricardo's concern anymore. He brings up the past, mentioning when Ricardo returned from war, implying Ricardo missed his chance. He accuses Ricardo of knowing about Bianca's feelings but choosing not to make a move on her. He strikes again, his words cutting as deep as his sword, blaming Ricardo for the current situation. Ricardo decides he has heard enough. He unleashes a powerful swing, overpowering Raintar completely. The announcer shouts that they have a winner. Ricardo Winkaser takes the victory, but his expression remains grim. Ricardo approaches the defeated Raintar. He asks with a cold smile if all that provocation was really necessary. Raintar, panting on the ground, retorts by asking if Ricardo was anxious that Bianca wouldn't accept his bouquet anyway. Ricardo tells him that is enough. Raintar delivers one last sting. He whispers that if he had a choice, he would rather pledge his loyalty to an empress than a mere duchess, hinting that Bianca deserves better than Ricardo. Ricardo laughs darkly and grabs Raintar, his patience snapping. The crowd murmurs in confusion as the confrontation continues after the match. Bianca stands up, looking concerned. She wonders why Ricardo is doing that. She realizes she needs to intervene before things get out of hand. Bianca approaches them. Raintar immediately apologizes to her for his shameful misconduct. Bianca accepts it but then turns her stern gaze to Ricardo. She orders him to apologize to Sir Winsbury immediately. Ricardo balks, asking why he should do that. Bianca threatens him with lawless Sparta method if he keeps acting stubborn. Reluctantly, Ricardo bows and apologizes to Raintar for the trouble he caused. The crowd wonders if they made up already. Suddenly, Prince Assel appears, interrupting the moment. He smiles charmingly and asks if Ricardo just finished disciplining the biggest troublemaker in the order. He acts as if nothing serious happened. Ricardo plays along, saying he smoothed things out since people often get carried away during matches. Assel turns his attention to Bianca, calling her the glory of the Splendor Empire. Assel makes his move. He asks Bianca if she would like to attend the banquet with him that evening. Bianca looks troubled and tries to decline, saying it is not a good idea. Before Assel can press further, his aides surround him. They remind him of a mountain of duties he promised to attend to after the sparring event: approvals, reports, and meetings. They drag the protesting prince away. Assel shouts back to Bianca that they will talk again. Bianca sighs in relief. She turns to Raintar and suggests he go to the infirmary. Raintar tries to say he is fine, but Bianca insists. After the chaos settles, Bianca asks Raintar if he is alright. He asks her the same. She thanks him for his concern and then brings up something he mentioned earlier about being interested in the Starlight Flower Banquet. Bianca confirms she remembers him mentioning it. She suggests that if they want a good seat, they should head over now. She asks if it would be alright if she joined him. Raintar is stunned. He looks at her in disbelief. He gives her an out, saying she can still back out if she wishes. But Bianca refuses, stating her mind is clearer now than ever. She wants to go with him. Bianca and Raintar find a nice seat with a perfect view of the entire square. Raintar politely offers the seat to Lady Maria, but she declines, saying she is fine and asks if it is alright for him to sit there given his status. Maria notices that Raintar looks pretty tired and asks if it is because he has been outside all day. Raintar admits that he is not physically tired, but rather mentally exhausted from being on edge around all the nobles. He confesses that he is still much more at ease on the streets than in a fancy place like the Imperial Palace. Bianca reassures him that he will surely get used to it soon enough. Raintar mentions that he gave the children at the orphanage some allowance to come out and enjoy the festivities. He hopes they are having a good time and asks when the Starlight Flower Banquet begins. Raintar looks at Bianca and reflects internally. He realizes that he knows far too little about her. He recalls when Ricardo returned from the war and they went to the debutante ball together. He admits to himself that even the things he thought he had figured out were nothing like reality. He assumed she hated children, yet he saw her treating them with such tender affection. He wonders about her true feelings. He pondered if she was in love with him, or perhaps Ricardo, but he feels confused because it doesn't entirely feel that way either. He decides to probe further. Raintar breaks the silence by asking a specific question. He asks how the two of them typically spend their time, specifically inquiring about what they do for pleasure when they get together. Bianca finds the question random and oddly specific. She mentions that just the other day, she visited a dress boutique and a bakery, as she introduced Ricardo to both places since he wasn't familiar with the city. Raintar asks if that would be the same bakery where she bought treats for the children. Bianca confirms it, saying she found a wonderful bakery called Angela's Bakery and has been a regular customer since because everything was delicious. Raintar assumes that surely Ricardo must have sampled their treats during their afternoon tea. He looks at Bianca, waiting for her confirmation, but Bianca looks hesitant. Bianca reveals a shocking truth. She admits that she and Ricardo have never had goods from the bakery together because he is not particularly fond of cookies. Raintar explains that Ricardo prefers natural fruit flavors over sugar and never sweetens his tea. Raintar continues to list Ricardo's preferences, noting he favors pure black tea over fancy blends. Bianca is stunned. She realizes she never mentioned any of this to Maria or considered it herself. She admits she never gave it much thought. Bianca thinks back to their previous afternoon tea. She remembers Ricardo holding a teacup, hiding his distaste but obviously unhappy. He didn't touch a single thing, leaving the mint tea and cookies untouched. She recalls sipping her tea while Ricardo watched. She remembers thinking she had succeeded in acting like a refined lady and that he approved, while in reality, he was just enduring the flavors he hated. The realization hits her hard. She thinks to herself that Ricardo remembered everything about her, while she was the only one in the dark about him. She feels a deep sense of guilt. Her mind drifts to Ricardo's recent confession. She remembers his pained expression as he asked for forgiveness and admitted that he couldn't deny it anymore, that he is in love with her. She recalls the fireworks exploding in the sky as he held her. The memory of their embrace under the starlight makes her heart race, contrasting with her current feeling of inadequacy. The scene shifts to the city streets. The orphanage teachers are guiding the children, telling them to stick together so no one gets lost in the crowded celebration. The children are excited, pointing out chicken skewers and darts. The teacher laughs, telling them to slow down. One of the girls, Lala, spots something and calls her friend Nicole to look. Lala points at a princess teddy bear in a stall. She wishes she could have it, admiring how pretty it is. She wonders if they can afford it with their allowance. The shopkeeper notices the little girls peering over the counter. Lala nervously asks if he could tell them how much it costs. The shopkeeper notices something on her hands. He sees the needle marks on her fingers and asks if she is learning to sew. Lala confirms she practices a little each day. The shopkeeper is touched and decides to give her the doll as a gift for the celebration. Lala is overjoyed and thanks him profusely. The shopkeeper even packs some fabric scraps for her. It is a heartwarming moment of kindness amidst the festival. However, panic soon sets in. The teacher, looking for Nicole, realizes that Lala is nowhere to be found. She asks where Lala went, and the other kids don't know. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman with long hair is struggling in the crowd. She complains that there are too many people and the crowd is suffocating. She feels nauseated and annoyed by the lack of carriages. She grumbles about the victory celebration, saying there is nothing pleasant about warfare. She mentions she wants to meet the former Tower Master, who was unrivaled in teleportation magic research. Suddenly, she bumps into Lala. Lala looks up at her with wide eyes and asks if she is a fairy because she is sparkly and glowing. The woman is confused and taken aback. Lala excitedly claims she has never seen a real fairy before. The woman asks what she is doing. Lala reveals she is looking for her parents, mentioning her mom said she'd meet real fairies one day. Lala adds sadly that her daddy isn't around either. The woman looks at the child, her expression softening slightly as she realizes the girl is lost and alone. Suddenly, Lala collapses, falling asleep. The woman catches her and realizes it isn't normal sleep. She detects that the child has mana sickness, something ordinary folks can't see. She decides to take Lala back to her quarters to help her.